Good Saturday evening, South Mississippi. Meteorologist Taylor Graham here, joining you from the newsroom. As you probably already know, we did not have an early evening newscast tonight due to college football, but I've got all the latest on our forecast throughout the rest of the weekend and into this week. And spoiler alert, we have a really nice forecast on tap. I think a lot of us are going to enjoy the weather. On the other hand, we do need more rainfall, and we're not going to quite see it for quite some time. Now, that being said, though, it is going to be beautiful over the next several days. Now, let's start off with what happened today. It was nice and cool this morning. We had a low of 60 in Gulfport. Many places started off in the upper 50s. High temperatures today, close to normal. It was a little bit on the warm side at times, but not too bad with that lower humidity. It felt really nice outside, especially with that northeast breeze. And so we are looking at more of this gorgeous weather going into Sunday. Temperatures right now falling very quickly. We are already in the mid to upper 60s in several spots this evening. And that's all thanks to that lower humidity. We've had dew points in the 50s today. You probably were able to tell how dry the air was across South Mississippi. So that made it feel a lot more comfortable outside. At this point, it looks like we do have a little bit of a wind out of the north and northwest. Eventually, we'll see the wind calm down a little bit more overnight tonight. And check it out. This is stopped just before 7 o'clock. We're going to be in the mid to upper 50s in the morning. If you live north of I-10, you're more likely to be in the mid 50s. Upper 50s are expected along the coast. This is going to be a true taste of fall tomorrow morning. Now, that being said, as we get all that sunshine by tomorrow afternoon, we will be heating back up into the low to mid 80s, but that's actually very typical for this time of the year. And the lower humidity is also going to make it feel more comfortable tomorrow afternoon. So if you enjoy the weather that we had today, I think you're really going to enjoy the weather tomorrow. Not going to be as breezy tomorrow. So that is some good news for boaters. Not quite as choppy over the sound and offshore. Now, offshore areas, winds are going to be a little bit higher at 10 to 15 knots, seas at about 2 to 3 feet, but again, not as choppy as what it was today. And as we take a quick look at our tides, it does seem like we are coming up on high tide tomorrow afternoon with low tide expected the following morning, early that morning. And our water temperature at this time continues to stay in the upper 70s. First alert radar, very quiet right now. You're seeing some of that radar clutter, but as far as I can tell, the sky is almost crystal clear at this point. The setup right now is that we have an area of high pressure to our north and west. We have an area of low pressure developing and getting a little bit stronger along the east coast. Obviously, we're seeing quite a bit of rainfall along the east coast at this time, but that's far enough away from us to where we're not really going to be seeing any rain. In fact, we're keeping that wind out of the north and east. That's keeping us dry. We've got some drier air moving in from the north. We've also got some cooler air to our north and east, and we can see that there. 62 Meridian, 63 up into Birmingham. That cooler air continues to settle in overnight tonight into Sunday morning. Like I said, it is truly feeling like fall later tonight. Satellite and radar also very quiet at this point. So we'll start off tomorrow morning in the 50s. You may need a sweatshirt early in the morning. You're not going to need it by the afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon, we're still going to be back into the low to mid 80s. You can get away with easily t-shirt, shorts, flip-flops, all of your summer clothing. However, Sunday night into Monday, we're going to be back into the mid to upper 50s. A nice little chill in the air. And then as we get into Monday afternoon, it's more of the same. Tons of sunshine, lower humidity, and temperatures are going to be back into the mid 80s. And I'll say this, it seems like for us in the weather department, we're going to be on easy street over the next several days. Tuesday morning, we're likely going to be in the upper 50s, maybe some spots on the coast, more so in the low 60s. So our dew points over the next several days likely going to be in the 40s and 50s. Notice there a little bit of an uptick by Thursday, and it does look like by Thursday, Friday, possibly into this upcoming Saturday, the humidity is going to be higher. We may get dew points back into the 60s, feeling a little bit more uncomfortable outside, but at least throughout Tuesday and Wednesday, it should feel fantastic here in South Mississippi. I'm really excited that we will be able to enjoy this beautiful weather. So low temperatures on the coast over the next several mornings, at the very least upper 50s, low 60s. Those morning lows gradually increase by the end of the week and into this upcoming weekend. Nothing too terribly uncomfortable, but with that higher humidity returning, we're not going to be able to cool down quite as much. Inland areas, especially in Pearl River, Stone, and George counties, you're more so going to be in the mid-50s over the next several mornings, even still looking at the upper 50s and low 60s by Thursday and Friday of this week. It's not really until the end of the week and into the next weekend that higher humidity is going to make it a little bit more difficult for those inland areas to cool off a little bit more. Now, even though the humidity is looking a bit higher by Friday and Saturday, not really anticipating much rain. So this is good and bad. It's going to be beautiful weather to spend some time outside over the next several days. Sunshine, low humidity, you really can't ask for anything more than that here in South Mississippi. And temperatures not overly hot. By the end of the week, could see a few showers. The thing is, we really do need more rain here in South Mississippi. And as for this week, it's just not in the cards for us. And that's not too unusual for the month of October. In fact, October is typically one of the drier months, or if not the driest month on average in South Mississippi. So with the good comes the bad. We do need more rainfall, just not in the forecast this week, but it's going to be a perfect week for making plans to be outside. As for the tropics, nothing concerning South Mississippi right now. Overall, things relatively quiet. We are watching a tropical wave way out there in the open Atlantic. Has a decent chance of becoming either a depression or a tropical storm over the next few days. But other than that, relatively quiet. We have no threats to the Gulf Coast at this time. We are entering into the middle of October, where we typically start to see less tropical activity on average. That's not to say that we can't get any more activity, certainly possible. But as we get closer to November, the water at the surface begins to cool down even more, and it becomes a little bit more difficult for tropical systems to sustain themselves. Of course, we will continue to keep a close eye on things over the next several weeks, but at least at this time, there are no current threats to the Gulf Coast. If something else were to be named, the next name on the list is Lorenzo. We did briefly have subtropical storm Karen that was way up there in the North Atlantic, and Jerry, that was a tropical storm. We are seeing some of the remnants of that heading out to sea. So again, just emphasizing here on the Gulf Coast, no tropical threats on the horizon. In fact, we have gorgeous weather over the next several days. Starting off in the 50s tomorrow morning. It's going to be a little bit on the chilly side. We're just not quite as acclimated to it at this point, but we will be getting back into the mid 80s by the afternoon. Tons of sunshine expected over the next several days. It is going to be getting a little bit more humid by Friday and Saturday, but at least for Tuesday and Wednesday, the low humidity sticks around. It is going to feel really nice. So the rest of your weekend, it's in really good shape for any of your outdoor plans. So time now is 8:54. We will be having our 10 o'clock newscast tonight, depending on how long some of these college football games will go on. We may be going on a little bit later on ABC. Hopefully we can stay on schedule for CBS, but we will be having a later newscast tonight. We will have more information on your forecast and also the latest news going on here in South Mississippi and across the state. So with that, we hope you join us at 10 o'clock.